Hello, you lovely people. Welcome to the first Beach Bum in a Suit, Pull Up a Chair podcast. My name's Jack Williams. As you may know me by now, or may not, I am 29. I have moved from London to Cornwall, and I've been documenting my life for the last nearly 2 years now. All the trials and tribulations and life lessons that I have embarked on and documented through social media. Now, this podcast is going to be pretty chilled out. We're not doing anything crazy or special here. Or are we? We will have to find out. I've never been so nervous sitting in a room talking to myself. Well, Wilson's over there, but he doesn't really listen to me anyway. Over the last few days, I've asked my followers on social media to send me through a couple of topics that they either are struggling with themselves or they have experienced and want to hear my advice and output on. So I've chosen 5, and over the next however long we go, we're going to go through them together. So let's play the first one.
Hi Jack, Lou here.
Hey Lou.
I just saw your post, so I thought I'd send you a topic that has been a kind of issue for me for years, and it is the pull between living in wilderness and solitude and living amongst, a city or town, and how you kind of work that out. I always thought I'd be able to live alone in the woods, and it's been my plan for a long time to make that happen. And I'm currently in the middle of Bristol, so it's very different. Now I'm worried that I'd be too lonely.
Relatable, Lou. Thank you so much for sending that in. I think one of the big things to focus here on is a lot of people think, the grass is always greener on the other side. And personally, I find the grass is normally greener where you water it. I have moved away from the city of London myself, searching for a way of life that I probably could have created in London myself. I moved down here with sort of like 3 days' notice. It was a wild experience, and something that I'd never done before. Like, speaking from my experience, I lived in the same house for 25 years. Like, my family have always been in southeast London. It was the same house I was brought home to as a baby, and I stayed there up until I was 25, until I bought my own place. And it's all I ever knew. I didn't go to university like other people do. I've never been travelling. I've been working since I was 15 and just used my allotted time that I was allowed to take off. The move down here was at a time where I felt I needed to be by myself in solitude, and really to try and find that peace and quiet that I needed to exist and work myself out. What I didn't really appreciate probably would be how lonely it was. I moved down to a small parish in the Cornish Moors. There's maybe 1,000 people that live here, and I didn't know anyone. And there's multiple ways of meeting people. But ultimately, it was an incredibly lonely experience at the beginning. I really did have to put myself out there to try and make some friends. Now, the way Lou explains that, she sounds like she's really seeking solitude. And I think that my first question would be, from what? You know, we normally run away from things when the likelihood of it's probably going to follow you no matter where you go. Now, if it really is just the slower pace of life and enjoying the smaller, slower things, I mean, I totally get it. But that normally comes at a price. Accessibility to people, infrastructure, community. You know, you're living in a diverse city that is Bristol, and you're seeking the polar opposite. Now, if I were you, I would probably test it for a little while if your living circumstances allow you to. I initially moved down to Cornwall on a 6 months lease, and it was only supposed to be a test for me, and a test for Wilson, and a test for my working environment and me personally. And I've ended up being here for 18 months, nearly 2 years now. But you need to have the flexibility in your surroundings to go back before you make such a permanent move. I would personally say that it's been great for me doing this. I personally have needed to do this at this time in my life. But God, I miss London. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I miss the accessibility to those people and other people. I mean, at the moment I have to drive 25 minutes to the shop and 25 minutes back just to do a weekly shop. All of my friends in Cornwall are probably half an hour car journey away. But I've chosen to live in such a remote place in the county. It does sound like a good idea, and what I would say is just be very careful about how you are sold these aesthetics on social media. Because if a lot of people will show you the good parts of life, others won't show you when they're crying on the sofa, longing for a pint with a friend or a hug. I mean, God, last winter I went 13 days without having contact with another human being. I mean, that does something to some people. Equally, other people can operate in that way. And I'm not even talking just introverts and extroverts, you know. I would say I'm an introverted extrovert. You know, I thrive off other people. But I do like my own space when I want it. And it's a big thing being alone. A lot of people are alone and not lonely. Whereas when you are alone and it's just you don't have that choice. There's a lot of toxic positivity, I would say, forcing people to cut everything and run and start again. But a lot of those people, I would presume, have the option to be around other people. And it's not so nice when your only option is you. I would sit in these thoughts for a bit, Lou, and work out pros and cons logistically, you know, your lifestyle, your infrastructure around you, you know, what do you have now that you won't have? What will you have that you currently don't have? And how does that make you feel? And sit in it for a little while, because it will be an experience either way. It will be eye-opening on both sides, and you'll only know if you try it. But just make sure it's not a situation where you're going to fuck a lot of things up for yourself, because you don't want to take one step forward and then 5 steps back. It's got to be calculated. At least for me, it has anyway. You know, I'm very grateful to have an infrastructure I can go back to in London. I have friends that I really try and stay in contact with and make an effort with people. And equally, I've tried to do the same down in Cornwall. If I go back, you know, there are certain people I wish to know to my dying days that I've met down here. But it is incredibly important to have those backups with such large parts of your life. And I'm quite mindful of how my own social media can perceive my life. I always try and be really, really open. And sometimes, you know, painfully open to my detriment. And it has affected me and my loved ones tenfold. You know, it's not nice being open and honest to a large platform and then having, you know, your mum drop you a text and ask, you know, I've just seen this, is everything all right? You know, I have to explain to them that was last week. You know, I'm in a better place now. I've worked some things out. I've spoken to a few people. It's also, on the other hand, I don't want people to think it's all roses, because it's not. Like life's not. And I know you know, majority of people that would be listening to this have seen my journey and how it's unfolded, and the openness I'm hoping you see in the experiences I share. But yeah, thank you very much, Lou, for that one. Let's listen to the second one.
I'm not gonna lie, I wrote down like 6 questions, and I realised that as I'm reading this one, it doesn't have a question in it. I just wrote, I find myself, my behaviours and my language influenced by those around me all the time. And I think I was going to ask if you've experienced the same thing, and if so, whether there was ever any... I was going to go negative, but yeah, realistically, dead this question. What's your favourite breakfast? What's the goated breakfast?
Oh, the goated breakfast. Thank you very much for that topic, I think. Goated breakfasts, I would say, you can't beat a full English. I do love a little avocado on toast. But I love a New York style bagel, like bacon, egg and cheese. That's incredible. But I know it technically wasn't a question, but I want to stay on it. I love the delivery, but I want to stay on that topic of almost being molded by your surroundings. Now, I do believe you as a human being are always molded by your environment. I believe ultimately we are brought up in a society, especially nowadays, where we have so much external influence, that environment can change very quickly, and it can almost give us this sort of like identity crisis, and we are consuming so much information, and we are exposed to so much news and data, and trends are coming and going so quickly. You know, the mediums in which we are consuming media has changed from a sort of a longer form digestion to a fast pace blast of endorphins and serotonin. And I do think a lot of life has become very, very critical and less accepting of other people's different way of lives. I think one of the main things here is, for me personally, I'm literally a jack of all trades and a master of none. I love most things. You know, I enjoy food. I like being in the outdoors. I love my cars. I love motorbikes. I love like rock music. I also like a bougie dinner and a city break and dressing up in the nicest suit I've got and going to a bar and, you know, going to raves and listening to grime. And God, I mean, like when I was 15, I used to go to Cheap Sheep in Croydon on a Wednesday night and listen to Scream and Benga and skank for hours until my feet hurt. Like, and now here I am, Jack Beach Bum in a suit with long hair, you know, still love all those things. Just because I look one way doesn't stop me from enjoying what I enjoy. I mean, I'm a bit of a computer gamer as well. You know, here's something you guys have probably never know. Like me, my dad and my brother used to have a Counter-Strike server when we were growing up. I love video games. I love movies. I love photography. None of that defines me individually. It all does as a collective. And I think if you're around certain people and in certain environments, you can probably find yourself quite siloed and feeling pressured that you have to be a certain someone or act a certain way, talk a certain way, dress a certain way. You know, I believe we should all be celebrated for our small little idiosyncrasies that we have as human beings. And it's also incredible how, if you're in these, you know, friendship groups, you can learn so much from the diversity of people's personalities. And I think those elements of human interaction make us a more well-rounded society. I also think the tolerance for those sorts of things is definitely there nowadays. I mean, God, when I was at school, it would be like skaters, grungers, sports kids, your computer nerds, your beige dudes, gals, and all in between. You know, it was very siloed. But I grew up always being friends with everyone. You know, I loved playing RuneScape when I was at school. I was a sports captain. I played football. I played rugby. I played golf. I did trampolining. I did fencing. I love the arts. I love going to concerts. I didn't let that define me because I was and still am everything and more. I think the greatest part of life is discovering new things. And you need to make sure you have the right people around you that give you a safe enough space to feel openly. Because if you don't, you'll end up hating yourself. And the people that make you hate yourself, you probably don't even like a lot anyway. You know, we try and fit in as a social being, as a social human being. But sometimes it's good to tell people to fuck off. It's good to shut the door on a few things. You know, if these people aren't making you feel good, and they're actually making you feel bad about things that make you feel good, why would you want to be around that? No, I want my friends to try out new things and then go, oh yeah, you know, I've just done this. Do you wanna see if you like it? Yeah, of course I want to try new things and meet new people with different worldly views. Like, it goes back again to being a more well-rounded society. And I think a lot of people allow themselves to be pushed into a corner. It's not even a box, it's a corner. Because the box is being a human being, right? You've got all this space in between. When you get pushed into a corner, you have to be this person around these people at this job, in these clothes, with this style. Why can't you be everything and more in between? I think the majority of people that would moan at you for trying these new things are probably just scared themselves that they don't have the bottle to go and try new things. Or maybe, you lead with empathy and you think, who's making them feel that way? That they're then projecting that on you. A lot of people's actions perpetuate from other people's actions and other people's mindsets. How have they been brought up? Have they been brought up in a quite a conservative family background where they're not allowed to explore who they are as a person? Were they bullied at school that you don't know about? These are the things you need to think about when people are making you feel these certain ways, because most of the time they've felt like that themselves, and it's a shame. But you got to try and lead with love. It sounds a bit cringy, but if you can show people that you're good with me. I know you're feeling a type of way. I know you're agitated. Or equally, even if you don't like it, cool. Agree to disagree. That's one thing that's massively overlooked in society nowadays. Why can't people just agree to disagree? There's certain things I don't like, but I'm not calling someone out because they like it. It's divisive. Why do we need that? Of all the times in the world at the moment, to be divisive is one of the most counterproductive things ever. And I don't think a lot of people mean to do it either. I think a lot of people have been conditioned that way, and that's their natural response. But ultimately, you should be around people and in environments that make you feel safe to be who the fuck you want to be, how you want to be, where you want to be. And if you don't feel like that, maybe it's time to look around and evaluate a few things. But yeah, thank you very much for that one. I like this. This is a fun little setup. I mean, it is a bit odd sitting here in my dining room, chatting to, no one, effectively. But I hope someone out there is listening and it positively impacts their life. Wake up tomorrow morning, deal with a little bit of adversity, about to make a tough decision, and might remember this silly little voice in their headphones, or watching it on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all the platforms, and it'll click. Because that's all I want from stuff like this. I've lived a funny old life, and if I can be bold enough to share my experiences and how I've lived, then hopefully one day that enables someone to do the same and they find their truth. And maybe we can all just be a little bit happier and content. Who fucking knows? Right, let's get on to the next one.
Hiya, it's Saskia. The first question was, what is your opinion about dating apps? Do you think, because I've heard different opinions, I've heard the dating apps are rigged, you can't actually find actual love out of them.
and that it's hard to communicate through dating apps, and it's hard to meet the right people through dating apps while, just using filters. I just wanted your opinion about that.
Hey Saskia, what a topic. Oh no, I really didn't want this one to come up, but I feel like it's on the tip of everyone's tongue recently. Dating apps. My opinion. I mean, they wouldn't exist if they didn't work. It depends on how you want them to work for you. We live in a very fast-paced, throwaway society where we are literally looking at 5 photos of human beings, swiping left, swiping right. We don't even know them. We don't know what they sound like, smell like, act like. We haven't got a clue. It's just based on what they look like and their interests and the little bio they have. And we're shown each person basis who we've liked previously, who they've liked previously, and an algorithm that is designed for us to meet compatible people. Do I think it is detrimental to society? Yes. But I know some fucking good success stories from stuff like this. I know people that have got married, people that have children, that have met on Tinder, have met on Hinge, Bumble, and are really happy. I haven't heard that recently, but it's happened, and I know it's happened. I think that it all depends on how you go into it and how you want to use it. It's the same thing with social media, right? You could be consuming all the wrong things with the wrong direction, and it can be detrimental to you. Or you can practice some healthy boundaries, set your intentions, go into it with an open mindset. You could meet great people you become friends with. You can meet people or speak to people and match with people that you never want to talk to ever again. But it's ticking boxes for things you don't want in the long term. I myself have been single for 2 years now. And of course, I've been on these apps and I've had positive experiences and I've had negative experiences. The hard part about all of this is you're asking for a permanent outcome with so many variables. A lot of people are like, oh, I want this, I want that, or I don't want this and I don't want that. And that's fine. But if you tell me, oh, I'm not really looking for a relationship, well, I'll outright just won't believe you. You're not looking for the idea of a relationship that you think it is. If I told you that, if I told you that you could meet someone that was a great communicator, you were sexually attracted to them, your personalities matched, your hobbies matched, they give you the right amount of space in your day, they're a family man, they're a family woman, they're family orientated, or they're not. Like, whatever is compatible with your wants and needs, you're not going to turn that away. Of course you're not. So when people say, oh, I don't want a relationship, I don't want this, they just don't want what they've had before. And that's really, really hard when everyone's so scared to trust people. Because everyone wants the short-term gratification and the solution yesterday. Like, you've got to learn people. And equally, like, even me speaking this now, like, I've had 3 long-term relationships grateful for every single one of them, but they've all ended for a reason. Whether that's my shortcomings, not knowing how to communicate my wants and needs correctly at that time, or not listening to people's wants and needs, or being able to appreciate the severity of those needs. It's all come to an end because it's supposed to. And that's the same thing with the dating apps. You're almost asking for someone to commit everything off the bat. Nah, maybe not. I don't know. It's a tender topic, and I genuinely think you have to know what you want out of it before you step foot into that. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that will lie. There's a lot of people that will be deceitful. There'll be a lot of people that just want to pass the time of being a human being in a weird world we live in and want a little bit of company here and there. Or they want to just hop off the good foot and get their end away. As long as people are communicating that openly and honestly, I think that's fine. But if someone communicates that to you and then their actions are different from their intentions they set out, doesn't necessarily mean that they've lied. They still want those things. It just might not be with you. That's a hard pill to swallow. Trust me, I've been there. We've all been there. You think it's going really well, and out of the blue, Romeo done. And sometimes there's no real rhyme or reason. Just two people just aren't compatible from one person's point of view. And it doesn't mean they've lied. It doesn't mean they didn't want those things. They probably wanted to want those things with you. They just can't. It's not there. And I think we allow instances like that to really scar us a lot deeper than it probably needs to. If we understand the psychology behind dating and behind people, it allows us to accept change. And those changes are going to affect us. And you're allowed to be upset about those changes if the changes that are being made aren't what you wanted. God, that sucks. There's nothing worse than loving someone that doesn't love you back, or fancying someone that doesn't fancy you back, that once did even. God, it means it was there and now it's not there. Why? Your anxious brain goes, why is it not there anymore? What can I do to change that? Can I be a better person? Have you lied to me? And then you get frustrated and you start trying to put the blame on things. And nothing needs to be blamed. It just is what it is. And I think the sooner, I can speak from experience, it doesn't get easier learning that headspace. But it's the only headspace, Equally, why would you choose someone that doesn't want to choose you? Why would you want to convince someone to see the value you have in yourself? That's not right. That's not the person that deserves you as a human being and the great human being you are. Now, if you have to beg for someone to stay or make extra effort with someone that was once interested and is now, chatting to someone else on different apps, you shouldn't, in a healthy mindset, want to be involved with that person. Now, all apps, I would say, are very different. Each app has a different USP. Will there ever be an app where you can cut the bullshit out? No, because we're human beings. There will always be an element of bullshit around love and lust. And those two things are dancing to the same beat on the same dance floor together. You've just got to pick your battles and have some element of trust. I know it's hard. God, I know it's hard. How do you trust? How do you trust someone after having your trust broken? Equally, like sometimes people feel uncomfortable being trusted. It can get too comfortable when you're not used to this. You're not used to the healthy relationship, and then you start self-sabotaging. These are all very normal things. But ultimately, how do you meet people nowadays? You know, I'm a pretty confident guy. I would happily go up to a suitable partner, I believe, and speak to them. But it's not really socially acceptable anymore. I don't think, anyway. As a guy, I don't want to make a woman feel uncomfortable going up to her and speaking to her in an unsolicited way. God, even if people flirt with me, I'm still like, are you flirting or are you just being nice? So much has happened in the world that has made those old school traditions disintegrate. So I don't really know the other way away from dating apps. I'd quite like a shift. Something new. Do you know what I say? Bring back, like, setting your friends up with your friends, man. Like, all of my friends have partners. All of those partners have friends. Where are your hot friends at? Like, my mum and dad met when they were 17 at a party through friends. Wedding season's coming up. Maybe I'll meet Mrs. Right. But that is just died a death. Introducing people. I don't know why either. Let me know if you know of anybody that's been set up by friends or friends. It'd be interesting to hear other people's takes on it. Yeah, because I don't know anyone that's been set up old school. Maybe you guys can try and set me up with someone. Actually, no, don't do that. That would start a wave of shit. We don't need that. Thank you, Saskia, for that one. Honestly, I could speak about that topic till the cows come home. It's a topic that's on everyone's lips, and everyone has different experiences with the apps, or has known someone to have experiences, and every person that's in a relationship is always saying how grateful they are that they never have to use those apps. You never know. It could all come falling down and you find yourself on one of the apps. Let's go to question 4.
Hey man, hope you're well. Absolutely buzzing for your new podcast. My topic for you is, how do you cope with travel and having friends and family all over the place? Similar to yourself, I've moved down to the southwest, and I feel that having parts of my life spread over the country really tires me out. And with you having moved down to Cornwall, I'm sure you've experienced this too. So yeah, man, just let me know. I wish you all the best with the podcast. You absolutely deserve it, bro. And yeah, we need to catch up soon.
How lovely is that? Friends and family all over the place is tough. I feel like you can neglect both sides very easily. You can neglect the people that are far away because out of sight, out of mind. But even when you're with people in a close sort of vicinity, you're thinking about the ones you're not with and the place you're not at. And it does get tiring keeping up with so many people. Gratefully, don't get me wrong. Like, I love having a large group of friends, but it's hard to keep up. And I probably focus more on the people that don't put energy into me than those that do. I think that's quite a natural thing that we do as human beings. Is you always want what you can't have, platonically and romantically. You know, I kick myself for not making more of an effort with people that make the effort with me. And yet I yearn this bare minimum communication with people that don't make the effort with me. Now, I'm not talking these people don't make an effort because they don't appreciate me or love me. You know, their life is just busy and complex as everyone else's. And their priorities are aligned differently with mine. My personal preference is I will try and reach out to people. I'll make a conscious effort. I'll stick some time in my busy schedule at my lunch break or after work to try and be there for people, or at least make it known that I am there if they want me. Other people just don't think like that. And that's not a bad thing on them. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, I've had conversations with close friends where I've expressed how I've felt. You know, I'm communicating how I want to be communicated with and how I want to be made to feel a bit more prioritized. You know, for me, it takes me 5 minutes to call someone and have a little catch up. What about if they don't have those 5 minutes? I would then, in my way of thinking, I would make that time if they're a priority. Some people don't have the capacity to do so. You know, I'm sure the question there talks about the physical strain on having people far away and dealing and managing friendships, but there's an emotional strain and a mental workout that just leaves you fatigued. I think as human beings, we're all trying to work out what the best way is to be the best for others and ourselves. Some people's social pendulum maybe focuses on themselves more. That's what they need to do. Maybe that's just who they are. Other people focus on other people maybe too much. You know, I'd say I'm a people pleaser. The amount of times I've gone back and forth from London, made the effort to see people. Some people haven't even seen me when I'm up there. Some people have never made the effort to come and see me in my new way of life down here. And for the first year, it ate me up, something rotten. It made me feel like absolute shit that people wouldn't put that effort into me. But everyone has their own lives. And there's a really fine line between knowing who doesn't have the time and knowing who's not making the effort. And I think it's really hard because you want those people to make an effort. As I said, right, you always want what you can't have. You aren't a priority to everyone. Equally, not everyone is a priority to you. It smarts, I'll tell you that for free. And I've probably made people feel that same way. Obviously don't mean to. But it's tough. And this is why it's so important to learn about yourself and self-worth and being okay in your company. I've personally realised I don't like my own company. I've been in it a lot, and I would always prefer to be around other people. You know how they say a problem shared is a problem halved? Well, for me, a moment with someone is an experience doubled. I will always find more joy experiencing those moments with people than I probably would just by myself. But when people have got lives, you know, like I'm single, I've got Wilson to look after. Yes, I have a job, I do the social media stuff. I'm pretty busy, but people are busier. People have got kids to look after, they've got financial woes, they've got work, they've got parents to look after, they've got their own mental health and their own physical health to look after. Sometimes it's really hard to remind yourself that it's not just about you, even though that can sometimes make you feel a little shitty. But it's definitely draining, trying to keep all those plates spinning when you are between two worlds. Some of those plates will fall and crash. You just got to make sure none of the bits cut you and make you bleed, because then you'll end up bleeding on people that didn't cut you, and you'll end up resenting on people that are there for you. It's a tough one, man. Appreciate good people wherever they are. That's a fucking good question. On to the last one.
Hi mate, hope you're well. So my idea for a podcast topic is the topic of death, which I know might sound a little bit morbid, but I was thinking that it is the ultimate statistic, isn't it? That 1 in 1 people die. You know, so many of us spend our lives trying to distract ourselves that we're going to die one day. And so many different spiritualities, religions and belief have all tried to answer that question. But I think, you know, we need to discuss it. We need to grapple fearlessly and to think about our impeding death. And I think a quote that really inspired this was the fact that we learn to live best by preparing to die. So I think this is a really awesome opportunity to potentially talk about it. And yeah, let me know what you think.
That is a fucking... I hope everyone's okay and ready for an existential crisis that we're about to divulge on. What a topic, what a question. Thank you for that. Just for context on my own experiences and the reason I'm about to talk about the way I am, is I nearly died when I was 6 or 7. You know, right around when your frontal lobe as a human being is developing and your experiences shape you for the rest of your life. I had an operation and I hemorrhaged and lost a lot of blood. I was effectively internally bleeding, and the blood was filling up. I won't go into it too much, but yeah, my veins collapsed. I was very, 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 very close to dying. And I was fucking aware of that. You know, my parents have always kept me in the loop about things. They've always spoke to me like an adult from a young age. You know, I was never sent upstairs to hide away when my mum and dad had a dinner party or anything like that. I was always front and centre. Death is something that has always scared the absolute living daylights out of me. Excuse the pun. I don't think I'm scared of death itself. I am scared about the infinite unknown that is afterwards. Especially that someone that's been so close to it. I've been so close to it in the fact that I've nearly died myself. I've been so close to it that I've had 11 family members and friends pass away in an 18-month time frame. I've been around death a lot. I've experienced loss a lot. And I think it's changed me. But not in the way I think most people would have experienced it. As you said, statistically, 1 in 1 people die. Death is there's only 2 certainties in life, right? Death and taxes. It's really hard for me to comprehend that it's going to happen, regardless. And sometimes it keeps me awake at night. But it doesn't make me live more. I think that's where I'm slightly different. I'm naturally anxious. It doesn't make me live more. I think it makes me scared to live more. I become really small when I get scared and worried about these things. Because I've been there. And I wish it made me do the opposite, so I lived life on the edge. I only mean really on the edge, you know. James Hunt said, the closer you are to death, the more alive you feel. I get that. But walking up to those moments is where I switch off. I become anxious about the world around me. I get worried. I don't even know really what I'm worried about. It's interesting you talk about spirituality and religion, because in the pursuit of the answer surrounding the topic of the unknown, I have looked into as many religions as I can find books on. I have spoken to shamans, I've spoken to witches, I've spoken to therapists, I have spoken to people that are dying to try and find my truth. Something I believe in to remove the fear of that unknown. I genuinely think religion and spirituality is comfort for a lot of people. And I realised that as I was on my journey of trying to work out where I wanted to put myself, I realised I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I was purely doing it for an outcome based around me being okay with dying. Which might sound ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe other people have experienced that. But I've sat there and I've tried to work out, do I believe in heaven? Do I believe in hell? Do I believe in reincarnation? Do I believe in the afterlife? Do I believe in nothing? Because that's like the alternative, right? Is nothing. Do I believe in infinite nothingness? Scientifically, you look at us as energy, and in the eastern side of spirituality, it's chi. Those chi, energy, a lot of things can be translated very, very easily to make it sound less, spiritual. We're all talking from the same hymn sheet, it's just in different languages. Us as human beings are energy. We are vessels of energy. And as we know scientifically, energy can never be destroyed. It's just always transferred. So that's the only certainty I know in myself when it comes to death, is that this energy in me will be something else and be somewhere else. Where and what that will be, fuck knows. It scares the shit out of me that we don't know. I think every day I wish I was a little bit more ballsy living. And every single time I've been convinced to do something that I originally have said, nah, I don't really want to do that because of my anxiety, it's always been better. And I'm slowly learning in my life to do it scared than not do it at all. As long as it's not hurting anyone, as long as there's not serious repercussions, and it's calculated, fucking do it. And even if it's not, even if it's the stupidest thing ever, you've got to be prepared for the consequences, yeah. But live. Fucking live a little. I mean, God, I'm telling you lot this now. I get nervous when I go out to eat at a restaurant. I've found out that I'm allergic to nuts 2 years ago. And the anxiety has absolutely crippled me because I always think I'm going to die. I always carry 2 EpiPens on me. I don't like being too far away from a hospital. I can't even kiss someone on a night out because I don't know if they've had peanut butter or a little PB&J before they've gone out to the club. I don't like drinking out of pint cups because if they've been washed properly, there's someone down the bar that's got the peanuts there, drank out of this glass last time, and it's not been that's how scared of dying I am. But I try not to let it stop me do most things. I'm interested to hear what you guys think, because this is obviously a topic that affects so many different people, and I just wish I wasn't so scared. I wish I wasn't so scared of dying that it makes me scared to live. And I don't know how to change that. Or maybe I don't. Just like a lot of things, maybe I just have to accept that's who I am and stop hating myself for it. maybe I need to start embracing this is the paternal, risk-averse, calculated person that I am deep down. This has been a load of fun. I'm going to try and do these as much as time allows me to. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone that's listening to this, that's shared anything, that's given these topics today. This is building an infrastructure for something that I want to be far bigger than what it is now. And I think with the right help and the right message and the right time and place, the platform that I'm slowly building will be able to help so many people. So make sure you keep an eye on the Pull Up a Chair Instagram. The website is days away from relaunching. We're going to have a little notification email that I'd love for all of you to sign up to. This will be on YouTube. I'm hopefully going to be doing more YouTube videos. And yeah, hope you guys have an amazing week ahead. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know. Subscribe, like, comment, follow, whatever platform you're listening to this on. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Right, guys. Love you, bye.